Good afternoon to you. I'm Alexis Rogers. Thank you so much for joining us. We are following breaking news right now in the search for a missing boy from Hopkins. In just the last hour, we've learned that there's been a new development in the case. We're waiting to hear what that is. Police are planning a news conference in about the next half hour to update us on the search for 4-year-old Wais Muhammad, who has autism and is nonverbal. He's been missing for more than 24 hours now. We'll bring that news conference to you live as soon as it begins. But right now, we want to check in with Lou Raguse, who's been live at the scene throughout the morning. Lou, what can you tell us?
Well, Alexis, there have been developments this morning. We have no positive developments to report. At the same time, we've not received any official updates from authorities so far, so we'll just bring you along with what we've been able to observe here. There was a news conference scheduled for 11 a.m. here at the fire department, but when these developments started to happen, they pushed that back, and now we're expecting them to speak at about 12:30. If they begin to speak while we're still on the air here, we'll bring that to you. As the developments started to happen, we went down to the creek, and as you might be able to see on some of our video, police began putting up a lot of crime scene tape to keep people away from Minnehaha Creek, which travels between Hopkins and St. Louis Park in the relevant areas here and runs very close to the apartment where the child was last seen. Now, to recap what happened yesterday, at about 7 a.m., the child made his way out of his apartment. And this was very concerning because, as you mentioned, he's autistic and nonverbal. He also is drawn to water and is scared by loud noises. And with the proximity to Minnehaha Creek, that, of course, made it very urgent and very concerning. And a lot of people who found out through something just like an Amber Alert on their phone wanted to do everything that they could to help. So then at 7 a.m. this morning, an official search party was put together. They were out there searching the areas around the creek where there is some heavy brush and trees. And then, as we mentioned, there were developments later this morning that we will hope to be able to report more on very soon. The child is a member of the Somali community. I was speaking with members of the community there at the apartment, and it's a very grim emotion among a lot of them, a lot of tears being shed this morning, and among the searchers who were hoping to find him, of course, became very concerned when night fell last night, and this 4-year-old child, who was believed to not be wearing much clothes at all, had still not been found. So we will check back with you later on in this newscast, especially if this news conference gets started here. We'll bring you in live with that. Alexis?
Lou, thank you so much. It's interesting. I was one of those people who got that alert, and of course, everyone very concerned. Can you give us a sense of what the search crews look like right now? I mean, obviously multiple agencies, but for anyone who's not used to seeing this sort of thing, what does that process look like from what you can tell?
Yeah, the Hopkins Police Department and Fire Department are fairly small departments, and they're getting a lot of help from Minnetonka and other surrounding cities here. Those are the official law enforcement search groups, but there also are civilians who volunteered their time and were here at 7 a.m. to do what they could to help. Those people are kind of being pulled back at this point. There was a second group expected to leave at about 1 p.m. We don't know if that group is still going to go out. We expect to hear more about that before we get to that point.
Lou, thank you so much. And of course, we'll check back in with you in a little while. We'll have continuing coverage of this story all day on KARE11.com, and we'll bring you updates on air starting at 4 o'clock. And again, when that news conference begins at 12:30, we'll make sure that we bring that to you live here on TV and online. Another man has died in the same Minneapolis shooting that killed police officer Jamal Mitchell just over a week ago. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner says 36-year-old Muhammad Aidid died in the hospital on Friday from his gunshot injuries. Aiden was in the apartment on Blaisdell Avenue where the gunman reportedly shot and killed another man, Osman Jamail. That gunman went on to kill Officer Mitchell outside in an ambush before dying in a shootout with other officers. About 24 hours from now, the public will be able to pay their respects to Officer Mitchell. A memorial is being held at Maple Grove High School starting at 11 a.m. Officer Mitchell will receive full police honors in a service led in part by the Law Enforcement Memorial Association. We'll, of course, be covering that event throughout the day. Canadian officials and the U.S. Coast Guard are now looking into what happened to a cargo ship in Lake Superior that started taking on water over the weekend. The Michipacotton is anchored in Thunder Bay, Canada right now, and half of the crew was evacuated for safety before the vessel made it back to shore. Investigators are trying to figure out if it struck something or had a mechanical failure. Well, if you step outside today, you'll likely feel mild temperatures and see some mild skies as well. Ben has a look at how that could change later this week. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Alexis. Good to hear from you. And you know what? Sunshine today. It is going to be a lovely day today with basically wall-to-wall sun and temperatures very comfortable and low relative humidity. At least for now. Enjoy today because we do have rain chances reintroduced to the forecast numerous times later this week. Your hour-by-hour forecast looks like this. A mostly sunny sky. Temperatures warming up into the mid-70s, which is pretty seasonal for this time of year. And honestly, this is about as cool as the forecast gets. We do expect a warming thermometer back in the 80s for a good chunk of the rest of the week. So beautiful today. We do have several rounds of showers and even some thunderstorms in the forecast tomorrow. Best chance for rain is the first part of the day with isolated storms possible later tomorrow afternoon. It could end up being a stormy Wednesday evening as a stronger storm system moves in from the west. Right now, not much happening across our state, but our rain chance for tomorrow is starting to show up over the high plains states. We will track those showers and thunderstorms and have a closer look at what you could expect for Wednesday's system. That's just ahead. Alexis?
Ben, thank you. High water on the St. Croix River has forced boat launches in Hudson to close. Now, this video was shot just a few hours ago. It comes as we expect more rain on the way this week. This is the scene at Captain's Bay Marina in Hastings along the Mississippi River. Right now, the river is just over 14.5 feet, nearing minor flood stage. It's taken over the parking lot and attracting some unexpected visitors.
This morning, when it was cool out, you know, we seen minnows, and I seen a snake go across the parking lot, right? So yeah, so the wildlife comes up and takes advantage of the extra water.
That would not be my favorite part. We'll continue to monitor those levels as we see changes in the weather.
Well, today we're less than 5 months out from the November presidential election, and we've got new numbers of where the top candidates stand ahead of the rematch. According to a new KARE 11 NPR News and Star Tribune Minnesota poll, President Biden is leading among registered likely voters in Minnesota with 44.5%. Former President Trump is in second with 40.6%. Rounding out the top three is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's running as an independent. He's at 6.4%. Right now, the margin of error is at plus or minus 3.5 percentage points. Now, the Minnesota poll also gives us a look at approval ratings for the candidates. You can see a majority of likely voters disapprove of the job President Biden is doing. That's just over 52% compared to the 46.4% who approve. Former President Trump is seeing similar job approval numbers in Minnesota, with 51.5% saying they disapproved of his performance while in office. More than 46% of people polled said they approved. Now, unlike the presidential candidates, a majority of Minnesota voters approve of the job Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar has done in Congress. She's sitting at 54.5% approval rating. Now, coming up tonight, political reporter John Croman will talk with people who took part in that poll to better understand the mindset of the Minnesota voter ahead of this fall's election.
A group of people held as Hamas hostages are now back in Israel after a dramatic rescue this weekend. Health officials say it ended in the death of 274 Palestinians. NBC's Ralph Sanchez takes us through what happened from central Israel.
Within an hour of being rescued in the heart of central Gaza, those 4 Israeli hostages were flown here to this hospital. Doctors say they are in generally good condition after 8 months of Hamas captivity and the chaos of that daytime raid. The Israeli military says special forces stormed 2 apartments simultaneously, about 200 yards apart. They found those 3 male hostages in one of them. Noah Argamani, the young woman seen around the world being kidnapped on the back of that motorcycle, in the other. The commandos giving the code words, "We have the diamonds," when the hostages were in their hands, but the danger was not yet over. The IDF tells us one of the vehicles carrying the hostages actually broke down amid an intense gun battle. They had to be transferred under fire to another vehicle before they could be taken to the helicopters. Now, while there are celebrations here in Israel, there is searing grief inside of Gaza. The health ministry says around 270 people were killed by Israeli fire during that raid, including at least 60 children. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Ramat Gan, Israel.